Trump's life may be in jeopardy. Let's get into this.
I have an interesting theory that I've been thinking about for the last week or so. Is if Israel tries to sabotage the deal by continuing to strike Lebanon, whether now or in a few weeks or even in a few months, Iran retaliates as they have before. And Trump decides to do what he did 2 weeks ago and say, hey, I have nothing to do with it, Israel. I'm not going to get involved, not even defensively, not even intercept Iranian missiles. If that happens, first, is it a possibility? Second, do you think Israel would get into a war with Iran without American support?
I think what you describe is almost already happening. I mean, the Israelis are shelling from artillery positions parts of southern Lebanon. I think it's almost a certainty that they will launch attacks against whatever they describe as being Hezbollah positions. Hezbollah, for them, represents what they think is an existential threat. And the only way they know how to deal with that is with force. They need us to assist them with that operation. They need our munitions. They need our missiles. They need all sorts of things, our intelligence, everything that you can think of. Will Donald Trump say what you just did? I think he's going to say, look, I've told you to stop. You need to stop. If you stop, we can make the world a better place. If you won't stop, I can't support you. Then Netanyahu gets on the phone and electrifies the circuits all over Washington, D.C., all the think tanks and all the agents and all the House members and senators who are on the payroll and says, damn it, go into that man and tell him that if he doesn't support us, you're going to impeach him. Tell him if he doesn't support us, he's not going to last in office. I mean, that's the kind of thing that you're going to see happen. And we're going to find out the answer to your question. I mean, I'll be frank with you. At this point, I am genuinely concerned about the president's safety more than I ever have been before.
I've been hearing this a lot. We were talking about Tucker. Tucker told me that. Marjorie Taylor Greene said that to me yesterday. Joe Kent said that to me. Anna Kasparian said that to me today. And that's just in the last week. And I've been thinking about it as well. And I started doing a deep dive, talking to people about the Butler assassination attempt. It is wild how many bizarre things that unanswered.
Look at Charlie Kirk. Look at JFK. They do it right in front of your eyes and they don't even bother covering it up. So to say it's a conspiracy theory, bro, look at the facts.
Questions still exist there. But yeah, Joe Kent says it openly. He believes the president is under duress, and he said that he's been saying that for months. But I agree with you that, wow, it's just a difficult thing to imagine, isn't it?
Now, unfortunately, it is. And I lived through President Kennedy's assassination, so I know exactly what it's like. I think I think there are those around the president who are sensitive to this, no doubt, and they will do everything in their power to protect him. I'm sure of that. But if I were he, I would check everything. I would think seriously about appointing new people. He's got to step back and look back on the kind of support and advice he's received from the people around him. If he received the kind of advice which I think he's generally gotten, is says, yeah, boss, go do it. Yeah, boss, we're with you. This kind of nonsense. Those people are useless. Now, would he listen to somebody who told him something he didn't want to hear? I don't know. I mean, that's hard to know. People in power usually don't like people to contradict them. That's because they think they are in power because they knew everything. But we know from history, nobody knows everything. And you have to listen to people. Would he listen to others? We'll see. But I think he needs to think about new appointments. It's very important. The other thing is people are calling for his resignation in many cases. And I don't think he should resign until he has brought this to an end. He has to close out this chapter of American history. That's something he must do. For him to resign at this point is ridiculous. He's been at the beginning of this. He should be there at the end of it. And he should be the one to steer us out of this mess once and for all. Now, after that, if people are calling for his resignation, that's legitimate. That's obviously a decision he has to make. But right now, I don't support that. right now, my greatest fear is not the resignation at this point. It's the assassination.
And look at Mark Levin, Huckabee, Ben Shapiro, all the people going after Trump wanting him to resign are all Zionists. They're all Israel first. No one else. Trump needs to be the bigger man and say it was a mistake and rectify it. But the Zionists won't let him. If he's not the man to do it, he needs to be gone, put out the way. And they'll put him out the way, believe me, and when it happens, but, you know, they'll have a patsy, as they say, they'll frame someone, they'll take the blame. You can see it coming a mile off, like these false flag attacks. You can see it coming a mile off. We're sick to the back teeth of them, man.
I have no special intelligence, no special information of any kind to support that concern. It's just the way I feel about it.
How by the way, I didn't know you were 16 years old when John F. Kennedy was assassinated. Do you remember that time?
No, I wasn't 16 years old. That's 1963. I was 10.
It was a quick chat GPT check during the interview. You were 10.
Artificial intelligence, you can't depend on it.
I tried to seem smart and pretend that I'm good with math. But I want to find out more why you're so concerned. I don't know how to ask it, but how would it work behind the scenes? I understand how the pressure campaign would work. All the pundits that support Israel would start criticizing Trump. You've got members of Congress starts to threaten to impeach him, speak negatively about him. The media starts to criticize him. Those I understand. How do you think it could escalate to something more sinister? How would that work? And I'm asking you to speculate here.
Well, you could start various criminal investigations into all sorts of activities that involve members of his family. Those could be launched quickly. Congress can do that. I'm not saying he's guilty of anything. I'm simply saying there are a lot of things that have been going on, and his personal wealth has grown astronomically since he became president, whereas during the first term, as I recollect, he lost money. During this term, he's increased his wealth dramatically. And of course, some of that wealth is really belongs to his children, who have been involved in all sorts of interesting deals. He's got people around him who are habitual deal makers when it comes to self-enrichment. These things are problematic, and they can be exploited in unsavory ways. And then finally, you have the Epstein files. And remember, he told someone, I can't remember who said it was, it could have been Pam Bondi. She wasn't very careful about opening her mouth on more than one occasion. And I think she said that he had told her, a lot of these people in this are my friends involved in this Epstein file. And that was the excuse that was given for why he wasn't anxious to release all of it, unredacted. That could once again move back into center stage. So there are a lot of bad things that can be done in that sense. And those things then lead to people that make stupid decisions, that decide that, it's time for him to be removed. And sometimes that's calculated and orchestrated. And sometimes it's the wandering buffoon you never expected that shows up. That happened to FDR. He was in Chicago. A man came out of nowhere, tried to shoot him, blamed the depression on him, and instead shot the mayor of Chicago, Mayor Cermak. I mean, you just don't know. There are all sorts of strange things that can happen. And people are always in the hunt for someone to blame for whatever it is that they don't have or haven't achieved.
One thing that was fascinating that Joe Kent was telling me in our latest conversation is about how the system works, or how the beast works. And actually, Anna Kasparian was telling me about it today, and she reminded me of that conversation.
Anna Kasparian? You talked to Anna Kasparian?
Well, yeah, you know her well. No, I get
a big charge out of Anna. I think she's very lovely.
She's a bubble of energy. Now, I've chatted to her a few times, but we were talking today, and we were talking about this topic. It's something that's really been eating up my mind for a while. So what she was explaining is how she was a journalist was explaining her. Oh, it's actually pretty fascinating, Colonel. She was saying in CENTCOM, she said, Murray, the head of CENTCOM, the commander of CENTCOM, doesn't have as much agency as you'd expect because of how big it is, and you've got all these different departments, etc. And they might act without the authorization of their commander. And Joe Kent told me the same thing in other departments. And he's like, Murray, you'd be surprised on how the elected officials, the leaders of these various organizations, they don't have as much power or influence or knowledge or decision making as you'd expect. And that also applies, obviously, to the president. It doesn't have as much agency as you'd expect. You know where I'm coming from. It's like the system, you've got all these, I don't know, I'm not good at describing it, but you've just got all these different individuals within that system that don't always report to who's meant to be boss. And now how that fits into what I'm saying here is just the nature of the beast. That this war, and I know it's been happening for a few years, but this war kind of further exposed how little agency the president has, and how many.
Sorry for interrupting, Mario. Checks and balances, as I think is what he was looking for. But this is the thing, it has to be run by so many people. And there's people interrupting, wanting to know everything, and they're all on the payroll. They're all on the payroll. This section 622 that's coming up, that'll start in October for the fiscal year of 2027, is going to combine Mossad and the CIA. They're entrenched. Like you say, if it does turn sour, the Senate, they'll impeach Trump because they're all on the payroll. Don't take my word for it. Google it, look at it. Use ChatGPT or whatever. It's madness, man. They're entrenched, and it's the same here in the UK. It's crazy. Our tax money, it all goes over there in weapons and aid to fund the Greater Israel Project. I wish I was joking.
Many people have too much influence within this American system. One that you're very critical of is the Israeli lobby and Israeli influence and Netanyahu's influence. But it's something that I'm, finding out more and more about in the last couple of years, and it is worrying. It's very, very concerning to see this.
Well, you also have the pharmaceutical industries,
military-industrial complex.
The agricultural lobby is enormous, and all of these things operate as brakes on policymaking. They can let something go through, or they can stop it dead in its tracks. But there's something even more important. You've got the Senate that has to confirm people. How many lobbyists does it take to go to a senator and say, we don't like that man? And you say, well, why? What's wrong with him? Well, we don't like him. He doesn't support us. So if you want to continue to have support from us, you better not vote for him. Or we don't like that lady. We don't like that woman. So the probability of getting very many really high caliber people of character and intelligence into key positions is low.
Look at Thomas Massey. Look at what's happened to Thomas Massey. He's one of the only true America first. That's why he jumped on the Trump bandwagon. And look what the lobby did to him.
Now, can that change? Of course it can change. When does it change? It changes in times of national emergency. People that you never heard of rise up in wartime. Everybody says, well, where was that general for 25 years? Why had nobody ever heard of him? Because nobody liked him. Nobody wanted him. He was a retired colonel. They were starting to boot him out the door, and 30 years were coming up, and all of a sudden the war broke out, and they decided they needed him. You have the same thing in the banking industry. You go into every industry, you have this preference for someone they call a safe pair of hands. Well, we like him. He's not going to change anything. He keeps the money flowing. Is he going to support our program? Do you understand what I'm saying? That's why we elect people, and then we expect miracles. And every president has about a year, maybe if he's lucky, 18 months. And in that time space, if he's smart, he can accomplish maybe 3 things on a list of 10. And then he loses steam because he's got to start running for re-election. And if they don't think he's going to get reelected, well, they don't care about him anymore. Now, this is not unique to republics. I know we talk about this, about republics. This is a weakness of democracy, but
Yeah.
if you study authoritarian states, you see this sort of thing all the time. When you go to a totalitarian state like Russia or China, it's different. When you have someone like Stalin who presides over you, and before World War II is probably responsible for the deaths of maybe 25 or 30 million people on his own, and he has the power of life and death over anyone, he has a lot of power. He can get a lot done. If he decides, I want this tank, I want this aircraft, I want this bridge, I want this dam, I want this highway, it happens. But otherwise, no matter who you are, you have real constraints. And that's by design. We like that. We didn't like the authoritarian rule of George III, although in retrospect, I would argue it was pretty modest. But now,
And I'm going to stop it there, but that's it. It's like people who think Farage is coming to save the day here in England. Farage isn't going to do dick. Stop the boats, remigration. He's not going to do any of that, man. Tory light, that's what reform are. Nothing will change, mark my words. Let's just start with a £5 million crypto donation gift he received. Who gave him that, I wonder? Why? When they get in, there's that many palms getting greased. Nothing changes. Like Colonel Douglas Mcgregor just said, safe pair of hands. Keep the money flowing. Who profits from all the migrants? Who profits from all the hotels? Who bought up all the hotels during COVID when they were all struggling? Who profits from all the delivery drivers? Delivering food for peanuts just to try and make a bit of money? Nothing's going to change unless we as a people change. And we've got to start I'm hopeful for the future. Because of the internet now, everyone can see what's going on. Everyone can see it. And although I don't agree with a lot of what Nick Fuentes says, he has the right idea. You've just got to level up, be book smart, get into positions of power. And then when the time comes, when there's enough politicians who want real change, there will be change. But that's it for this one.